How much did you make when we first started working together?
Right around like 10, 12K-ish.
Last month, March, how much did you make?
26K,
How many one call closes?
6 or 7.
Who is the audience that you sell to, and how do these people show up on sales calls, and how do they view you on sales calls before we started working together?
Yeah, these are just wealthy people, millionaires, doctors, lawyers.
Yeah.
These guys show up super cocky, very arrogant.
How would that make you feel when they would show up that way?
Originally, man, like a little anxiety dealing with these type of guys. And that was my biggest issue. Like I just felt like I had to prove myself to them, and I felt then. And what you taught me was that you should do the opposite. You don't have to prove shit to them.
Aside from obviously the numbers showing, right? Like, what were you observing in both myself and like the other top guys on the team that was different from what was happening on your calls in those days?
It's something that our manager was like, you cannot treat these leads like you're working at Salesforce. I was trying to set up follow-up calls, not really diving in deep into discovery. And what I noticed about you guys were just, specifically you were very methodical in your approach, very detailed. You asked the right question. You weren't just asking questions just to ask a question.
Yeah.
Like, question probed into a problem they had and what they were trying to solve, and then you were able to use that ammo towards the end. That's something I had no idea on what to do.
What is good? Welcome back to the channel. Today I have my boy and also current client right now who is crushing it, making like life-changing money, money that a lot of you aspire to make. And we have a pretty interesting story of how we met, the challenges that D'Avens had. So without further ado, man, talk to the people. Who are you? Where are you from? What do you sell?
Cool, man. My name's D'Aven. I've been in sales for almost 5 years now, tech sales, high ticket sales. Embarked on my journey in high ticket sales about 3 years ago. And then my second closing offer ended up meeting you on a YouTube automation offer. And it's funny. I thought I had it all like in my head, like I knew what I was doing. Turns out I didn't. And I saw killers like you and others killing it, and unfortunately, I got booted my second month. But I took notice, like, hey, man, like this dude is killing. It's definitely doable. There's people actually achieving 20, 30K months in high ticket sales. So it just pushed me to, want to get better at sales. But that's how we met, man. I was just like, I followed your journey all the way through since I got booted from that offer, and look at me now. So
Yeah, it's crazy. And I remember those days. I remember hopping on calls and giving you reviews and stuff.
yeah,
Those were some of the days that made me realize that I actually love coaching, right? And I love teaching this stuff. So on in those days when we were on GC, right, the YouTube automation offer, what were you, aside from obviously the numbers showing, right? Like what were you observing in both myself and like the other top guys on the team that was different from what was happening on your calls in those days?
yeah. I think so I started off in tech sales, and something that our manager was Josh. He was just like, you cannot treat these leads like you're working at Salesforce. I was trying to set up follow-up calls, not really diving in deep into discovery, just like leaving a lot of food on the table. And what I noticed about you guys were just specifically you were very methodical in your approach, very detailed. You asked the right question. You weren't just asking questions just to ask a question.
Yeah.
Like, question probed into a problem they had and what they were trying to solve, and then you were able to use that ammo towards the end. That's something I had no idea what to do when I hopped on that offer. I was just pretty much winging it, to be honest. And then, by no surprise, I got let go. But that's what I noticed with you and like a few other guys. You guys were just very detailed in your discovery, and you knew how to like use that as ammo towards the end.
Yes, everything is premeditated, every single question, right? So before we go too far, how much did you make when we first started working together? We started working together end of October, it was October 30th. How much did you make that month?
Right around like 10, 12K-ish. It wasn't consistent, but yeah, right, I was averaging around 10 to 12K a month.
10 to 12K. And that month specifically, October, I think you said it was 12K, right?
Correct.
How many one call closes did you have then?
Barely any, mainly just two call closes, standard for me on an offer.
And how many, just that month specifically, how many did you have? How many one call closes that month?
I would say maybe one or two, if that,
One,
probably one or two.
one or two. And you made 12K with one or two, right? Last month, March, how much did you make?
26K. Make the
26K.
missions.
How many one call closes?
6 or 7.
Six or so triple the one call closes,
Yeah.
double the amount of commit, more than double the amount of commission. And life is totally different at 26K month versus 12K month, right? 12K month is still good money, don't get me wrong. And I'm kind of curious how to, what lifestyle effects it's had, which we'll get into later. But with that, couple things to unpack. So your audience is you don't sell to 19-year-olds who want to buy drop shipping course, right? Who is the audience that you sell to, and how do these people show up on sales calls, and how do they view you on sales calls before we started working together?
Yeah, these are just wealthy people, millionaires, doctors, lawyers, software guys, VP of engineering, VP of sales. Like these guys have money, just looking for different ways of where to park their money. They have too much money to deal with. They just need money, something else to do with their money on the side. So
Yeah,
these guys show up super cocky, very arrogant, and yeah, I mean, something I wasn't used to originally, right? So,
yeah. And how would they project that onto you, their cockiness and their arrogance?
I mean, first of all, these guys show up. You'll see the watch, you'll see the persona,
Mhm. Right?
yeah. And these guys come off. You can't really approach them with a very emotional sell. Like there's still emotion you could dig out of those type of guys, but it's very logical with them. Like it has to make sense for them to like actually want your product. So,
Mhm.
it's more so just like it's kind of hard to take. I mean, they show up very cocky, like, "Hey, you need to prove to
Resistant, right?
me I need your service." Like, I may not need your service, I may not, but like, this is a very cocky, confident approach versus a B2C sale or a kid that's trying to invest for the first time in their life. Like these guys have been through the ringer with a few different things. They worked their way up through life, and they have money. So it's just like prove to me that you know what you're doing, or you have a good product that can actually.
Yeah, very high level, very sophisticated,
Yeah,
millions invested, right? Like these are
right.
super high level people. Now, how would that make you feel when they would show up that way?
Originally, man, like a little anxiety dealing with these type of guys, because you can't approach these guys like you would on a YouTube automation offer or Amazon drop shipping. Like these are not 19-year-old kids. These are grown men with families, 401k, stocks, mutual funds. They've dealt with hedge funds. Like they have lots of different investments, lots of different, places where they put their capital. So originally, man, like a lot of anxiety I had got, dealing with these type of guys. And that was my biggest issue. Like I just felt like I had to prove myself to them. And I felt then, and what you taught me was that you should do the opposite. You don't have to prove shit to them. Like these are
Yeah.
regular people. So that's what I really wanted to come with you and work on. Just like, how can I, you know, number one, shorten the sales cycle. But number two, just like be at ease on the calls with these type of guys. Cause like their energy just kind of, in a sense, frightened me at one point in time. So,
Yeah, and you're super real for admitting that and for saying that because a lot of closers will try to act like that's not the case. They'll try to act like they don't feel an anxiety when they have a certain type of prospect on. And if you can't admit that you feel a particular type of way with a particular type of prospect,
right.
then you won't be able to overcome it, right? Because it becomes bigger than you. You give it so much power. But you were like, no, fuck that. This type of person makes me anxious. I want to get better at handling this type of person, right? How did this anxiety, this intimidation, how do you think it, like, so one thing that you said is you would try to validate yourself to them. You try to prove yourself to them, right?
Yeah.
How do you think they would see you and how would they treat you as you would try to validate yourself? How would the conversations go?
Uh, I mean, sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. And I think that's where I left money on the table. Like there was
Mhm.
guys that if you try to validate yourself, they'll see through that, right? Like, oh, this guy's trying to prove himself to me. Like, who do you think you are? Like this type of energy I got back. Sometimes it hit home to some of these guys, but what I really wanted to work on was the guys that didn't really hit home for. Like when you try to validate yourself to somebody who's been there and done that before, like they lose respect for you. I feel
Mhm.
like so that was my issue, and I can sense that. And then that is where those extra 3 or 4 deals beats me up in my mind. Like I could have closed that guy if I just would have handled that call extremely differently because I was trying to prove myself to them, and I have nothing to fucking prove to them. Excuse my French. So
Yeah, no, we curse on this channel. Someone commented and said that they love the content, but I should curse less. And I was like, fuck no, we curse here. Um, yeah, for sure. They definitely see right through that, right? These are people who've built successful businesses. Like you were just telling me about the boat guy, right, in Miami
yeah,
who has $1 million boats and shit. So they could see through that and they will respect you less, like you said. And so as a result of us working together, what mental shifts, and then we'll get into tactical shifts, what mental shifts did you have with this type of avatar?
yeah. I think just looking at them as regular people, man. Like I've always like in real life, I'll look at anybody like they're the same. Like I don't care what type of background you have, what type of money you have, but like on these calls, it's definitely different. So the mentality shift was just, these are regular people, man. They came to you, they booked the call, they obviously have a problem, they have a need or want, and that's the offer I'm on. We actually are solving a huge issue. Like most investors or most people that have millions of dollars. They're just buying and holding, and they may see 10, 20% in a year, which is nothing's wrong with that. But right
Hmm.
now, inflation and we're in wars, a lot of uncertainty in the market, and these type of guys really need something else a little bit more efficient on the return side for their capital. So
Yeah.
um yeah, just not trying to validate myself, man. I think, just treating them like regular people and just acting like I've been here before,
Yeah.
the conversation was a little bit more fluid, when I treat them as regular people, not trying to prove myself.
Yeah, for sure. And can you give us a little context or get specific on how you would try to prove yourself? Like what you would do?
Yeah, talk about like how much money I made trading, what my portfolio is doing, or like how much money I'm making in general. Like, oh, I can relate to that. I go through that myself. Like, they'll tell me something like, hey, I did 20% this year, or oh, I was doing 30, 40K months. And it'll be a while, like, yeah, man, I've been there before too. Yeah, I definitely understand where you're coming from with that. And it can see through that, right? So that's what I was trying to do, just try to relate to them too much when I don't need to relate to them at all.
Yeah. So from that to being the doctor, the investment doctor is what we talked about, right? Like you were here. And for context, guys, he's not a financial advisor. He sells trading algorithms. So
Yeah.
help people get better returns and like really dissecting their portfolio and seeing what's fucking them. Which brings me to the next question is A, what was the sales cycle in October for you, the average deal close cycle versus now? How many days then versus now?
Yeah, I gotta look really quickly, man. Like, I think my abs on like in October was running around like 30 days,
Mhm.
and then going to now, it's like last month, my average day to close is 8 days. So like, shrink that down tremendously.
So triple the amount of one call closes, if my math's correct,
Yeah,
double the amount of commissions, and 30%, I mean 70% decrease in the average deal cycle.
yeah.
What were the tactical things that you did to that led to that after we got you right mentally?
Yeah. Really just doing a deep discovery. My other issue was I was just asking questions just to ask questions, very robotic. The questions didn't flow. And the one thing he told me to do was this was worth the mentorship in itself. Just like, dude, just stay in pocket. Like nobody told me that before. Like, dude, you know what you're doing. Just stay in pocket. Like you just ask the question just to ask the question. Make sure it's an actual conversation. And that's all these people want to these guys just want to have a conversation. They'll respect you way more if you just have a simple conversation. So I'll just
Mhm.
gather as much detail about their portfolio and I'll have them almost, somewhat cook themselves. Like, dude, like you telling
Yeah,
me you've been doing 5 to 10% annual returns and you planning on retiring at what age? Do you really feel like you're gonna be comfortable in the next 5 or 10 years retiring with those type of annual returns? And they'll answer the question for you, right? And I'll
yeah,
have that handle towards the end, like, dude, like instead of you handing your money over to a financial advisor or mutual funds or a hedge fund is a one-time upfront fee here and you're looking at double what the S&P does what and paint that picture like what type of life you will have 5 to 10 years from now if you were able to see these returns versus you just sticking your money in the S&P. Like nothing's wrong with just doing that, but like this is going to be something as an add-on on top of your portfolio. It's not meant to replace, it's an additional add-on. If you are an investor like yourself, like you say you are,
I
you got to
know.
have different eggs in different baskets, right? So
Yeah.
just having a conversation, man, that was the biggest thing for me. Staying in pocket, asking
Mhm.
the right questions at the right time, doing a deeper discovery. I used to try to rush through my calls and then try to do like my you told me my pitch was fine. Pitch was perfect. Nothing was wrong with my
Picture.
pitch.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's my ass off, but like discovery was just like very bland. There's no diving into the discovery, no diving into their pain. They obviously have pain, and that was my biggest thing. I wasn't diving into it. So
Totally. And something that you just said there is you would ask, it's very like logical, like what the fuck are we actually here for type of questions, right?
yeah,
Like what's your portfolio look like? Cook their portfolio. Something you said that's key is then you would get into the emotional stuff because you earned it. Like what
right,
kind of a life are you going to have retiring in 5 years off of or 10 years off of X returns versus these kinds of returns, right? Like you can't start with that. You're just gonna piss them off. Like
correct. And that's what I was
right?
doing originally.
$100,000 watch on, right? And before investing into yourself, so okay, before this, I know you had invested into a particular community to help you get into high ticket sales, right? And
Mhm.
we won't even have to name them. They're really good dudes over there. We don't even have to name them. But
Yeah,
there's a common misconception in this space that the program you invest into to get you in is the program that's going to help you actually succeed, right? If you could like give me a little, in your understanding, a deep dive of what's the difference between a program that's designed to help you break into the space versus one that's designed to help you succeed in the space? Because now you've been in both. Um,
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'll say the community I started off with, which great community. It's how I got on this offer that I'm currently on am now. Um, I think it's the biggest thing. Like number one is finding a quality offer. That's what I really want to join the community for. But what a lot of reps have to keep in mind is if you find a quality offer, you got to make sure you stay on that motherfucker. Because if you go in and piss down all your leads, I mean, luckily with the offer I was on with you, like he gave me 2 months. He didn't have to do that. He just liked me as a person, right? Most other offers, they'll let your ass go in 1 or 2 weeks after you blow through like 10, 15 leads. So I
mhm.
think the biggest thing is just like with the offer you have, like, the mentorship you have is actually developing a skill.
Yeah,
I've never been horrible at sales, but there's key differences in different offers. Or different offers you need to have. You need to have, basic understanding of a real discovery, how to handle different leads, whether it's a B2B or B2C offer. And I think
mhm.
it's the biggest difference with, going into your mentorship, like understanding those key concepts, how to handle certain leads, ethical gaslighting, things I didn't know
Yeah,
beforehand. That's things that really helped me on this offer as well. So, you know, the backtrack, you got the community you pay for to find a quality offer. That's step number one. You want to find a quality offer. A lot of reps in this space, they find a really hard time finding a real offer to hop on. And then step number two is actually being skilled enough to stay on the offer.
yeah,
So
that's a huge point, bro, because like the YouTube automation offer we run was technically a good offer, right? And it
yeah,
wasn't just you, dude. I used to see people come and go, and yeah, it would be just a week or two. He really fuck with you, but it would just be like a week or two that people would be coming and going and coming and going, and they were on good offers, right? It's what I try to
right.
put in people's heads through my content. So it's good hearing that from someone else. And again, like each program serves its purpose because they're still solid dudes, and like without you getting on a good offer, we wouldn't be here. Which is also why I'm offering helping people get placed now, right? To be able to kind of
Right.
bridge those gaps. And okay, so after investing into that, it was a good amount of time in between, right? That community versus working with me. Was there any reservations, or what was holding you back from investing into the skill set sooner?
Um, I think highly of myself. I tend to think I know it all. And
Mhm.
then you kind of have to be honest with yourself. Like, I don't know it all. Like, I have success here and there, but what I told you before I joined, like, it's not consistent. Like, I'll have a month really high, then I'll go back down, and I really want to get to a place to where it's like a trending upward movement with my sales career. And it's also my commissions, cash collected, and close rate.
Yeah,
So yeah, I think it's the biggest thing for me, man.
yeah, yeah. And what shifted to show you that you don't know it all? Like what? Because there was a good amount of time of inconsistency. What did you see
Yeah.
that, okay, I'm gonna make another investment in myself?
Just being honest with myself. I mean,
Yeah.
talking to my wife, looking at my peers, there's other guys I follow. Like, there's definitely another level of sales that I need to get to in order to be like where I want to be.
Hmm.
So I thought, hey, there's nobody else better to learn from than somebody I've been on the offer with. I actually seen them firsthand crush it.
So,
And that's why I felt confident coming to you, man. I felt comfortable. Like we stayed connected after I got booted from the offer. You gave me, calls or two to review on like from your offer you were still on, different offers you were on, and it helped me a ton. I was like, dude, I know his style. I can apply things that I learned from him to my offer. So
I
that was
respect
the
that.
biggest thing for me. Just being honest with myself. I think most people, it's hard for people to be honest with themselves. You want to feel like you're a G, you want to feel like you know it all, but like there's definitely levels to this in the sales space, in the high ticket sales at least.
For sure. I respect that. And thank you for trusting me. And yeah, that's the thing with a lot of, especially the reps who are in that 8 to 12K a month range. You know these fuckers, bro. It's like literally don't need anything, know everything off of
Yeah,
8 to 12 grand a month. But you start to learn like, nah, there's really levels, right? And being honest with yourself. And it's also ironic that we are here challenging people to be honest with themselves when sometimes we lie to ourselves. And like
right.
being congruent, it shows up in your calls too, right? Now, the person who's sitting here and listening to this and they're like, fuck, I want to make 26K a month, but they're giving themselves objections. I'll invest when I'm making 10K a month. I'll invest when I'm on a better offer. And just giving themselves these types of bullshit excuses, speaking directly to that person, what would you tell them?
I'll tell them what you told me, man. The more you hold on to money, the more it's gonna go away from it. It's like you're holding on to something. It's preventing you to grow, man. I mean, the best way you're gonna grow is just, responsibly let go of money. Just live freely. If you see something you need to work on, just do it. That's the biggest thing. It's easier said than done, but you're not gonna know if you want to do something unless you just do it. And
Yep.
that was one thing you pointed out with me, man. It's like I had a death grip to money. Like I didn't want to do something. And then
Yeah.
soon, literally, like domino effect. As soon as I just let go freely, calls felt more fluent. I didn't really care. Like these guys hop on these calls super cocky. Like I'm looking at them like, who the fuck are you? Like I knew who I am.
Mhm.
You came
Mhm.
to me, you want this call. And then, next following months, 20K, then last month, 26K, just like that. Like it's a different energy, a different side of myself, I feel. So I would tell anybody, man, just like look within, don't have a death grip. Don't sit here and say, hey, when I start making 10 to 12K a month, I'll invest. Like, no, just do it. If you know you need something to work on, you just have to do it, man. Jump in, feet first. So
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I agree. I agree. That's one of the biggest lessons that the same manager we had, Josh Johnson, shout out to Josh, who taught us as a team. So you gotta fucking let go of that shit. You gotta release money. Um, well, cool, man. That is all I got. Any final words before we wrap up here for the people?
if you guys are watching Nick's content, man, I mean, great coach. He's gonna challenge you. If you are contemplating, I would say just do it, man. I learned a ton. It's helped me a lot. I'm still staying in contact with Nick. So yeah, that's my final add on, man. Just if you're looking at Nick's content, definitely take on his journey, become a
Oh,
coach.
oh,
Absolutely.
and one last thing I forgot to ask that I said I'd get back to
Mhm.
is lifestyle wise, has anything changed for you from 12 to 26? Are you get eating better dinners or are you just saving more or what's changed personally?
I'm eating out more steaks, that's for sure. But like more steaks, but yeah, honestly, not much, man. I got a house now, so I'm just paying down debt and throwing my money in different investments. So I'm not really like a super flashy guy. Like me and my wife kind of have kids soon, so like if anything, I'm just building a bigger nest egg for my future family. That's really what it is, man. Just thinking ahead now, what additional income I have coming in.
A lot more room in your mind, right? With more
For
money
sure. I
coming
mean,
in.
I would say get freedom in my mind for sure. Less peace of mind. Like, people say money doesn't solve problem. They're fucking lying, man. Like it gives you peace of mind
Exactly.
knowing you got a fat bank account, you have investments, you're able to do stuff freely. Like I can order a damn tomahawk steak and have it Uber Eats to my crib. Like no checking my bank
Crazy.
account. Like, yeah, that feels good. So
Crazy. That's a blessing, for sure.
absolutely.
Well, thank you for doing this with me. Everyone listening, as David knows, I work super closely with my people. So the whole I only take on an additional 5 clients a month thing isn't a marketing thing. I always say this to make it clear. Like I literally can't work with more than 5 people because it's me. So if you want to hit 26K months like him or 30 like Chris, make sure you hit the link in the description. You're going to speak directly to me, apply to work with me one-on-one. As always, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Appreciate you for watching. Till the next one. Peace.